We always talk about what it takes to really get ahead right. The hard work, the
Yeah.
skills you need, maybe even a bit of luck here and there.
For sure. Right.
But I think there's something deeper going on too, right? Like, what's the real driving force behind it all? What pushes us to actually put in the effort to build those skills and to even recognize those lucky breaks when they come along?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it?
And the material we're looking at today jumps right into it with this powerful statement. You cannot become rich or achieve any other kind of success in life if you don't have passion about what you are doing.
Wow. That's pretty direct.
It is, right? And it really makes you think.
It does. It makes you think about those times when you were so absorbed in something that you completely lost track of time, you know, versus those times when you're just kind of going through the motions.
Totally. And that difference, that's what we're going to unpack today.
Yeah, let's get into it.
So for this deep dive, we're tackling drivingyourpassions.pdf. One of you awesome listeners sent this in, and our mission today is to really understand this thing called passion. Not just what it is, but, where does it come from? How can we tap into it? And how do we bring it back to life if it's faded away?
Right.
And the document actually lays out these 6 key passion forces, which honestly sound super intriguing.
Definitely.
We're going to explore all of them. Now we know you want a clear understanding of all this without it taking, forever.
Of course.
So let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
All right, so the document starts off by painting this picture of feeling stuck even when everything on the surface seems great. You have a stable job, family life, all the things you're supposed to have, but underneath it all, there's this nagging feeling of stagnation. Like you're not really moving forward in a way that truly fulfills you.
Right.
Have you ever felt that?
Oh, yeah. I think it's surprisingly common, actually. It's this gap between what you achieve outwardly and how satisfied you feel internally. And we hit these milestones that society tells us are important, but then we still feel like something's missing.
Exactly. And that leads to this really thought-provoking question that the text throws at us. If I had $1 million in the bank, what kind of work would I be doing? Would I ditch this boring job and move on to something actually exciting, something I've always wanted to do? And then it hits you with, why aren't you doing that right now?
Oh, that's a good one. What jumps out at you about that question?
I think it's that direct challenge, right?
Yeah.
It forces you to get real with yourself about if you're truly engaged in what you're doing. It points out how we often set our own limits and we stay in these comfortable but ultimately unfulfilling situations. And there's actually a really interesting example in the document about how the 2008 recession, as awful as it was for so many people, actually pushed some who lost their jobs to finally go after what they were truly passionate about.
Oh, wow.
And many of them actually found success.
That's amazing. Why do you think a crisis like that can sometimes be a catalyst for people to pursue their passions?
Well, I think sometimes it takes a huge shakeup to get us out of our comfort zones, right?
Yeah.
When that familiar safety net disappears, we're forced to reevaluate our priorities and what really matters. It's almost like the fear of the unknown becomes less powerful than the ongoing dissatisfaction of just staying put.
Yeah, I get that.
And the text emphasizes that passion isn't something that just happens to us, it's a choice. You don't have to wait for a life-altering event. You can decide to live and work with passion starting right now.
So how do we do that? How do we actually figure out what our true passion is?
Well, the document lays out some practical steps, which I love. And the first one is all about paying attention to our body language.
Interesting.
So it says, our bodies often sense unhappiness long before our minds fully grasp it. You get tension headaches, that Sunday night dread, or just a general feeling of boredom at work.
Yeah.
These can all be signs that we're not aligned with what we're doing, that passion is missing. What do you think about that? Why are our bodies such good indicators?
I think it's because our bodies are giving us raw, unfiltered feedback.
Yeah.
They're not clouded by all the rationalizations our minds come up with.
Totally.
And on the flip side, the document also mentions that when you're doing something you're truly passionate about, those physical complaints can actually vanish. You're energized, focused. You lose track of time.
Right, like your body's actually rewarding you for being engaged.
Exactly. It's all about tuning into that feedback loop.
So the second step the document suggests takes us back to our childhood. Think about what you genuinely loved doing as a kid before all the pressures and expectations of adulthood set in. What were those activities that just completely absorbed you?
Yeah.
I know for me it was building things. Anything I could get my hands on. Lego blocks, you name it.
Oh, that's cool.
The document even mentions things like taking apart gadgets, spending hours drawing being out in nature. It suggests that these early interests can be strong indicators of our true passions, things we might have been steered away from as we got older.
So it's like our core interests were always there.
Maybe. What makes those childhood interests so important, do you think?
I think it's because they're usually driven by pure intrinsic motivation. We do them simply because we enjoy them, not for any external reward or recognition.
Right.
As we grow up, those intrinsic drives can get buried under all sorts of pressures, but revisiting them can reveal what truly sparks our curiosity and enthusiasm.
I love that. And the third step focuses on our present lives, our adult pursuits. So it's about those hobbies and interests we choose to do in our free time just because we enjoy them. The document actually mentions successful professionals who find their true fulfillment in hobbies completely unrelated to their careers. Like, a high-powered lawyer who's also a passionate rock climber, or a CEO who spends their weekends volunteering at an animal shelter.
So it's really about paying attention to those sparks of enthusiasm
Exactly.
and considering if they might hold a deeper meaning, if they're pointing toward the real you, as the text puts it. Could those hobbies be more than just hobbies? Could they be a path to greater fulfillment?
Now, what if you're in a job that's generally okay, but that initial spark has faded? The document talks about this in the section on reviving passion. And it offers this really hopeful message that sometimes you don't need a complete career change. You just need to make some adjustments.
That's a relief, because a complete overhaul can feel really overwhelming.
For sure. So the text suggests starting with visualization, actually picturing yourself working with passion. What would that feel like? It mentions things like intense focus, a clear sense of purpose, a feeling of being in control, and even physical energy and excitement. Why do you think visualization is so powerful?
I think it's like giving yourself a glimpse of what's possible. You reconnect with that feeling of being engaged, and then you can start to figure out what's missing in your current situation.
Exactly. And then the document suggests we reverse engineer those feelings. What small changes could you make in your current role or work environment to actually cultivate those sensations?
Right.
It mentions things like shifting your responsibilities to align with your strengths, seeking out more collaborative projects if you thrive in teams, or even exploring different departments within your company.
So it's about taking control and shaping your work to fit your preferences.
Absolutely. And the document emphasizes the connection between our physical and mental well-being and our ability to experience passion. It talks about the importance of exercise, healthy eating, and even cutting back on things like excessive caffeine or smoking that can drain our energy.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. If you're physically drained, it's going to be hard to be enthusiastic about anything.
Totally. And it also touches on the mind-body connection through practices like meditation or prayer, suggesting that nurturing our spiritual side can contribute to a greater sense of purpose and passion. And finally, in terms of reviving passion, the document suggests actively seeking out new knowledge and experiences through courses, travel, or even taking a sabbatical. Sometimes a change of scenery or learning something new can reignite that enthusiasm for what you do.
So true.
Okay, so we've talked about finding and reviving passion. Now let's dive into what the document calls the 6 passion forces. The first one is curiosity. It's described as this fundamental drive to explore and understand, a powerful engine for invention, and a relentless force. Why do you think curiosity is such a strong driver?
Well, I think it comes from this basic human desire to make sense of the world around us. It's that innate why that pushes us to investigate, to learn to experiment.
Yeah.
And the text emphasizes that when this natural curiosity turns into a passionate pursuit, it becomes this unstoppable energy.
The document gives some really cool examples of this in action, like Thomas Edison's relentless experiments with the light bulb, Marie and Pierre Curie's groundbreaking research on radioactivity, Steve Jobs' pursuit of a user-friendly interface. These were all driven by a deep curiosity that wouldn't let them quit.
Wow, those are great examples.
And of course, let's not forget the explorers throughout history like Columbus and Neil Armstrong, driven by the allure of the unknown. And the document makes a great point about how curiosity can lead to unexpected expertise. Someone might start exploring a topic just out of personal interest and end up developing a deep understanding and mastery, even becoming a teacher or innovator in that field.
So it's about following that thread of inquiry wherever it leads.
Absolutely.
I like that.
The second passion force is challenge. And it's not just about overcoming obstacles, but about how the presence of a challenge can actually ignite our passion. What's the connection there?
Well, the text suggests the challenge is both personal and external. can tap into our desire to prove ourselves, to push our limits. Personal challenges like overcoming adversity or breaking through personal barriers, those classic rags to riches stories can be incredibly motivating.
Right.
And then external challenges like striving for family honor or achieving ambitious corporate goals can also fuel a lot of passion.
You see it in family businesses where each generation is driven to build upon the previous one's legacy, or in the fierce competition between brands that pushes people to innovate and excel. And it even touches on personal challenges like the desire to provide a better life for our loved ones.
I see.
And there's this great quote from the mountaineer George Mallory who said, "Because it is there," when asked why he wanted to climb Mount Everest, it perfectly captures the essence of this passion force.
Wow.
Sometimes the sheer difficulty of a task, the impossible nature of a goal is exactly what makes it so compelling and drives us to pursue it with unwavering passion.
Makes sense.
Okay, moving on to the third passion force. Legacy. This is an interesting one. It focuses on the idea that as we mature, our motivations can shift from personal gain to a desire to leave a lasting positive impact. Why do you think this desire for legacy becomes more important as we get older?
I think it taps into a fundamental human need for meaning and purpose that goes beyond our own lifespan. The text talks about different forms of legacy, like creating social change, building institutions, inventing something that benefits others, things that will continue to exist after we're gone.
It highlights those bigger ambitions, referencing figures like Mahatma Gandhi and Che Guevara, whose passions were clearly driven by a desire to make the world a better place. It's a different kind of motivation focused on contributing to something much larger than yourself.
Yeah, I get that.
So how can someone figure out what kind of legacy they want to build?
The document suggests thinking about your strongest emotions and the issues you care about most deeply. What are the problems that really move you? What kind of impact do you want to have on the world, even in a small way? That can be the starting point for identifying your legacy-driven passions.
That's great advice. Now, the fourth passion force is faith. In our modern, often very rational world, this might seem a bit unexpected. But the document argues that faith in something beyond ourselves can still be a powerful source of passion.
Interesting.
So what's the link between faith and passion?
Well, what's interesting here is how broadly the text defines faith.
Yeah.
Obviously, it includes religious faith, where belief in a higher power can inspire people to incredible acts of devotion and service. But it also includes a deep belief in a code of conduct, or even in other people, like the trust between an athlete and their coach.
Right.
It encourages you to think about what external force really motivates you. Is it a spiritual belief, loyalty to a team or organization, a deep conviction in a set of values? Identifying that guiding principle can be incredibly motivating.
Absolutely. It's about connecting to something bigger than your own individual needs and letting that belief fuel your dedication and drive.
Yeah.
The fifth passion force is altruism. This is where the focus shifts to selfless work and the deep satisfaction that comes from helping others.
Okay.
What makes altruistic passion so unique?
Well, the text defines altruism as putting the well-being of others ahead of your own self-interest. It highlights how many people who lost their jobs during the recession found unexpected fulfillment in volunteer work, shifting their focus from material success to what the document calls the prosperity of the soul. It seems that helping others can tap into a really deep sense of purpose.
It acknowledges that some people might be cynical about altruism, but it emphasizes how for many, especially later in life, giving back becomes a primary source of meaning and joy.
Yeah.
Like Bill Gates has transitioned from the tech world to philanthropy. And the document points out that the skills you've developed in your career can often be applied to altruistic work, potentially amplifying your impact and your enthusiasm.
So it's about recognizing that contributing to something bigger than yourself can be an amazing source of passion and fulfillment.
Totally. Finally, we come to the sixth passion force, epiphany. This is described as a sudden, intuitive realization that changes the course of your life. So what defines this kind of passion?
The document describes an epiphany as a moment of sudden clarity, a flash of insight that gives you a whole new understanding of reality.
Right.
Like that aha moment when everything clicks into place. The biblical example of Saul's conversion on the road to Damascus is a classic illustration of this kind of transformative realization.
It emphasizes that these epiphanies can be triggered by all sorts of experiences. A conversation, a major event, a sudden understanding of your own unhappiness. And while you can't force an epiphany, the document suggests creating conditions that make you more receptive to them. Reading, traveling, experiencing inspiring art and music, connecting with diverse people.
Interesting.
Even Archimedes' famous Eureka moment is cited as an example of this sudden burst of insight.
Okay.
It's about cultivating an open mind and allowing yourself to see new perspectives and possibilities because you never know when that moment of clarity might hit.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Now, the document wraps up with a really important chapter, Passion at Home. It stresses how important it is to balance our professional passions with the passion we have for our loved ones.
Okay.
Why is this balance so crucial?
The text highlights that our relationships with our family and loved ones are a fundamental source of happiness and support. A strong connection with your spouse, for example, can actually boost your work life by giving you stability and joy. And the love and attention you give your children have a lasting impact.
It makes the point that we all wear many hats. We're workers, family members, community members, and it's vital to dedicate time and energy to all these roles. The document warns against letting our professional passions take over our personal lives, because that can lead to neglect and ultimately regret. It clarifies that passion at home isn't about material things, but about actively engaging with our loved ones, sharing experiences, and bringing joy into our homes.
Yeah.
An unbalanced passion where you're only focused on one area of your life to the detriment of others can ultimately lead to a sense of emptiness, even if you achieve great success in that one area. True fulfillment comes from nurturing passion in every aspect of your life.
That makes a lot of sense.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into driving your passions, it really drives home that initial powerful statement. Passion isn't just a nice bonus, it's a key driver of success and fulfillment in every area of our lives.
Couldn't agree more. And the document ends with a strong call to action. Don't stifle it. Don't let it die.
Instead, as the final thought so perfectly puts it, give it the right fuel and watch it blaze like an inferno. This would be the inferno of your success.
Powerful imagery. So on that inspiring note, we leave you with this. Think about those 6 passion forces we discussed: curiosity, challenge, legacy, faith, altruism, and epiphany. Which one speaks to you most right now? And what small step can you take today to ignite or rekindle that flame within you?
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
See you next time.